I haven't owned a car for over 10 years, so when I decided to go on a road trip throughout the UK, it almost didn't happen. Renting a car, petrol, parking, it's a lot to figure out before I even planned where I wanted to go. After all, the train is just an easy mode of transport, but I wanted to go off the beaten path and really explore places you can only get to by car. These are all the things I learned about planning a road trip in the UK. As I don't own a car, I needed to rent one. When I started looking, I was surprised by the prices. I was looking at £1,000 for 3 weeks for 2 drivers. They charged an extra £10 a day for an additional driver. Depending on your road trip length, renting a car by day might be the best option, but the hack I learned was renting a car for 28 days. Europcar gives a long rental option, and that gave us the car for half the price for the 28 days, unlimited drivers, and delivered to my door. The only drawback to this option is you are limited by miles, but I found this was plenty. I had 2,520 miles to use, and if you're going a bit further, then you can get the 3,360 mile package. If you are flying in from another country, then you can also get the long-term rental. It's not just for people that live in the UK. Just make sure you choose that option from the car hire company you're renting through. Filling up your car at supermarket petrol stations like Asda, Morrisons, Sainsbury's and Tesco's will be a way cheaper option, as long as we're not in a supply crisis. The ones along the motorway will be super expensive, and you can definitely save about 20p per litre filling up this way. It's a bit confusing here, but we drive in miles, but we buy fuel in litres, so just something to bear in mind. Renting an electric car can be a challenge for some of the powering points in the country. For example, Cornwall doesn't have very many charging points as other parts of the UK. It's worth looking up the charging points before planning your road trip, and that way you will not run out of power. Now that we have phones and offline maps, there is no need for GPS. Just download your favorite map option and hit the road. I say it's more important you need a phone charger and a phone holder for your trip. Look out for potential tolls. Some routes suggested can have tolls, but I have found that this is pretty easy to avoid. Just check on your maps before driving and it will highlight the roads that you need to go down. Download parking apps. A lot of parking around the country is paid, and I'm not sure about you, but I never really carry cash anymore. Download these apps before hitting the road. Just park, pay by the phone, and Ringo. They were by far the most frequent ones I encountered. Another way I have saved money with parking in cities is by booking in advance. Weirdly, in Bristol, using Just Park was way cheaper to pay for a week's worth of parking than 2 days. Also, carrying small coins, anything from 10p to 1p, just in case for some reason those towns or places that you're visiting do not allow you to pay via the parking apps. Look into heritage passes. If you're interested in visiting a bunch of different historic places, then these are offered in all of the countries. You can get an overseas visitors pass, or if you're living here, a yearly membership. Not only does this save you money on individual places, it also includes parking. National Trust is another great option. It is the largest charity in Europe for protecting historic places, buildings, and the countryside. They are able to maintain these properties by us visiting them, membership fees, and donations. If you have watched my Norfolk video, then you know when I visit Blakely Point to see the seals, and then your parking will be covered by the National Trust membership. So it is a great way to save on some cash, and it lets you into all different places across the UK. There is not an official border between England, Scotland, and Wales. You can drive between them in any vehicle you hire. For any country which requires a ferry, Northern Ireland, Isle of Man, and the Channel Islands, you might need a letter from the hire company saying it's okay for you to take the vehicle outside the country. You will need to carry your passport or a proof of ID. This does not apply to the Isle of Wight on the south coast of England. That is still a part of England. It's complicated, I know. Which leads me to my next tip is to book ferry crossings in advance. A friend pre-warned me after missing out on their ferries to make sure that I booked mine in advance. This saved me so much on my trip to the Isle of Mull. I got the time slots I wanted and everything worked out well. I wanted to pass this tip on to you so that you don't miss out. Ideally, allow at least a week in advance to book this, or once you know your dates. I'll leave links for the ferry services in the description below, and make sure you save these for later. Don't drive long distances, for example, London to Edinburgh in one go, unless you're familiar with driving long distances. I don't recommend trying the 8-hour drive. As someone that grew up with long distance driving across Australia, I still struggle with driving over here and recommend at least having one overnight stop unless you have an additional driver. But most importantly, you'll be missing out on all of the cool places to stop and visit on your way there. Road quality. If you're used to Australia, America, and Canadian roads, then driving in parts of Britain might be a shock. Some of the roads are not very wide, they can be single track, or just like have cars lined up against them because they weren't built for the traffic that we have today. Book accommodation in advance for popular routes, or if you're traveling during peak times like June, July, and August. Places like the North Coast 500, Fort William, Snowdonia, Cornwall will get booked out fast, and there's nothing worse than missing out on accommodation. So once you have your dates confirmed, book those ASAP. There are areas of the UK that you can wing it a bit more, but if you know it's a popular destination, then definitely book this in advance. Learn the road rules. This goes without saying, and I'll leave some descriptions in the links below to read. However, here is a few things. There is no turning on a red light. Red light always means stop, so wait for the green light. Speed limits. They have these national speed limit signs that tell you the speed limit, so you need to know the difference between an A road, a B road, a motorway. Don't park on the double yellow lines, and don't drive in the bus lane because they have cameras and they will fine you. These tips have saved me so much money and stress on my road trips. If you are looking for more road trip ideas, make sure you watch this playlist popping up now.